Hi, friends.
Hi,
It's Daisy.
Vero.
So, today we are here to talk about a sensitive topic. Um, like many of you, you might have been listening to some breaking news regarding Cesar Chavez and the sexual allegations against him. In addition to Dolores Huerta's message and information regarding her own experience of sexual assault with Cesar Chavez, resulting in two children. So today we're just here to have an honest, reactionary conversation about what that means to us as Latinos and how are we processing this. If you're like me, you grew up learning about Cesar Chavez, a little less. If you were informed, you will learn more about Dolores Huerta. But Cesar Chavez has always been kind of the prime focus of our farmers movement here in California. So we're just opening up the conversation about how are you dealing with this information and how are you processing it. For us Latinos, we don't have too many people to look up to. So this has been a very strong blow for our Latino community and for some of us on a personal note.
So, personally speaking, I remember being in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, even high school, college, taking leadership classes, being asked, if you can think of a leader, who would you name? I always named my mom first. I always said my mom. She's an inspirational person. She's a hardworking lady. She doesn't give up. She doesn't quit. So many great things I said about my mom, but when I had to give a name and provide a name of a hero, I always said Cesar Chavez because that's what I knew. Again, yes, I did learn about Dolores Huerta, but in college, Cesar Chavez was the image of the leader for the farm workers. So I always talked about Cesar Chavez as a person who, led with a lot of pride, led with hard work, dedication, a person who coached others, a person who taught others, a person who helped transform lives. So I grew up seeing him as a hero. When you talk about heroes, depending in the era that you ask, right? Mm-hmm. People will name different people. We know that. Ask from the 1800s, ask about a hero. Someone will give you a different response. But my response was always Cesar Chavez. And just yesterday, I was thinking, what am I going to say now? Dolores Huerta, obviously in the time, she wasn't recognized. Why? Because she was a woman, because we're in a patronizing society and we needed a male figure, whatever the case may be. But I frankly knew Cesar Chavez, and it has impacted me personally very much. Mm-hmm. Because now when I teach my classes and I ask students to talk about, a role model in their life or in their lives, or to, talk about a hero that they know about, now I'm going to have to change or shift my focus. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to deviate, and I'm going to have to, as an educator, coach to say, let's just talk about the movement. How about the women involved? But, I have mixed emotions, mm-hmm. personally and professionally.
Yes. I think it's tainted our history in a way. But let's be honest, okay? We have to be honest. Can I keep it real?
Let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. With all this information about the Epstein files, about all this stuff with men in power, it doesn't surprise me. It if anything, it disappoints me so much so, because as a Latina growing up in our communities, I can say I don't know too many good men. Let's keep it real, okay? I'm gonna try and put my family history out there, but there's not a lot of good men that I could look up to. And I think that also comes into alignment with acknowledging that maybe we should not be basing these historical movements with any one person.
Very true.
Because as people, we're all flawed. I'm not perfect. I've done mistakes. You know, good thing I grew up before social media. but I think every person as a human is flawed. And if we take anything away from this, I hope that we keep looking forward to evolution of movements, growing in our awareness, growing in our intelligence, in our social emotional intelligence, and let's not glorify any one person. I think that is something I'm taking away, because I cannot take away the humanity of the situation. I cannot take away the impact of the survivors and the victims. But I think that if there's anything to take forward, is to understand that no person is perfect, and that we should look at movements and in our missions a little more globally, a little more widely, instead of just having one person be the representation of that movement.
Absolutely. And speaking of victims, as you guys all know, there are many videos, posts, TikTok videos, shorts, so much information out there about Dolores Huerta revealing her secret. And many people have wondered, why now? Many people ask, why didn't she do it before? Maybe when he was here so he can defend himself, or have a legal process or whatnot. But in my opinion, how dare you ask that question? How dare you question a woman's strength and courage to reveal something so deep?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yes, I think that if you as a woman have never had to endure any sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual aggravation towards you or your body, I think it's very difficult to understand the mentality of a person who is in a position of submission. He was a very powerful man in his time. And Dolores Huerta, let's think of every woman, even us women now. Our power is limited depending on where we are, who we are, and what we're doing. So I don't fault Dolores Huerta for anything.
In addition to that, if I'm thinking about my family, I'm thinking about my family, and I'm thinking about my grandmother, my grandfather, my parents. I see how age plays a very important role here, including us. I think very different. I'm very open now that I'm in my 40s versus when I was in my 20s. So someone in their 70s, 80s, 90s, you don't think they've built courage, you don't think they've developed strength, and you don't think they have a lot of education, knowledge, resiliency. You don't think life has prepared them to be able to come out and speak and say something. I know that if I reflect on my own family, I can see my own mother rebelling sometimes. I can see my own grandmother saying things now in her 80s that she probably would have never said before. Why? Because in the 1930s and 40s, a woman is supposed to obey.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you have an opinion?
Yeah.
How dare you say something, and perhaps people were probably not going to believe the woman. So now 2026, we have a lot of strong women, we have a lot of strong Latinas, a lot of education. Us Latinas in our generation, first generation, youth that came from immigrating parents here, we tend to educate our own parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
You learn something and then you go and you tell your parents, and then your parents learn, right? And so you educate your own family. So because as a result of you educating and empowering your culture, your people, not that someone had to empower Dolores Huerta, but perhaps our youth, perhaps the fact that this generation is more open to sharing things no matter the pain behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she was just empowered.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just think that maybe she was ready now because life prepared her? Because life taught her lessons?
Mm-hmm.
Or because somebody else said something and it truly did, I can't find another word, it truly did empower her to say, you know what, it's time.
Yeah.
So for those of you saying why now? Well, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And perhaps she knows, she's a very smart lady that knows her age, and she knows that maybe if she had a plan to keep that a secret forever, maybe she just realized, I just needed a little push to realize that I don't want to take that to my grave.
Mm-hmm. I also think that she did it in support of the courageous survivors that came forward to share their experience. They're in their 60s. Dolores Huerta's in her 90s. I think that she took an opportunity to voice her truth and to also allow these women to have the conviction behind them, so people won't question them. If Dolores Huerta experience the same thing these survivors experience, then it's more believable than these unknown people to come forward and say something about the great Cesar Chavez. But if Dolores Huerta also has her own accounts, I think that legitimizes the testimonies of those other women that
unfortunately
came forward. Yes.
Unfortunately, but very true. So I just think that to all those people making these negative comments, you're the reason why a lot of people stay quiet. Because how can women talk about other women like that? You're a woman. How can a woman not support another woman? Just because we're women, let's just support each other.
Mm-hmm.
How can you question things like that? It's never okay to question something. In my opinion, you're guilty until proven innocent. Not sorry. You're guilty until you prove yourself innocent, right? So if somebody comes with some type of revelation as such, just believe it.
Yes.
Because that person is talking out of their heart. It took a lot for them to, trust you, to share. Can you imagine Dolores Huerta sharing with the world right now?
Yes.
Like, think about that.
Yes.
For a moment.
Yep.
You're not just coming out to your tia, your tío, your sister, your mom, your father.
Yeah.
You're not just telling your mom, my uncle did this. My uncle or my grandpa or my whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just telling your family, and that itself is hard.
Yes.
Because you don't know what your parents' reaction will be. What if that's the brother of your father?
Mm-hmm.
You're now thinking in your head that you possibly are destroying a sibling relationship. So can you imagine what Dolores Huerta had to go through to think about coming out and saying her story, her her sufferings.
Yeah.
She didn't have to come out to her parents. She didn't have to come out to only her children. She came out to the world.
2 weeks before the celebration, another yearly celebration of Cesar Chavez.
And a lot of people ask and wonder why right before the celebration. I don't know why. I will say that my opinion, maybe she's tired of celebrating someone who hurt her tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, approaching the date, right? Or approaching the date of celebration for him, maybe she's had enough.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she said, you know what? Enough.
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
Let the truth come out. And like you said earlier, friend, I think that no man is perfect. No woman is perfect. Nobody's perfect. So why only celebrate one person?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that it's very true. I mean, it takes a group of people. It takes effort. It takes teams. It takes more than one. Mm-hmm. Why only celebrate one? Yeah. So I am in support of Farm Workers, Campesinos Day. I'm in full support of that.
Yes, that's why we eat, and then we have fresh products,
Farm
especially here
workers.
in California.
It's not just one man.
No.
It's not just one woman. It's a group, a team of people.
Yes, often families.
So let's support
celebrate that.
Let's celebrate that.
Yes.
Let's support campesinos. Let's support farm workers. Let's support the people who are working hard. There's no need to just celebrate one person.
Yeah.
I always thought he was special. I always thought he did something different that nobody else did. But growing up, now I know that he probably led a group, but so many people under him were working hard for this movement to happen.
And they never made it on TV, and they never made it on posters or murals.
So with today's conversation, we just hope to enlighten you a little bit, and we hope to share a message of we are reflecting, we are a bit confused, conflicted, we feel with the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm. So if you have any thoughts or comments that you want to share with us, go ahead and put it in the comments. We would love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you.
Bye.